live from the Rockabessa, Hitchin Hearts, UK, in association with Bloodfire Studios and Age LR Media. Welcome to the Big Debate Show. I'm your host, the judge, and each and every Monday, you, the viewers, will be able to have a debate with me. But before I go on any further, once again, let me introduce to you my co-presenter, Anna, on the show.
Hello.
How are you, Anna?
Very, very well.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, very good.
It's going to be a sensitive one tonight.
I have spoken to quite a few people about it that are, in that area of business.
Okay.
And maybe people that have had experience. It's a serious topic.
I hope they phone in. Now, if you're wondering what we've just been talking about, tonight's show is all about, is suicide a selfish act? Once again, let me say it again. Is suicide a selfish act? Now, if you've got something to say, if you want to text, if you want to talk to me live on the show, I'm going to tell you how to get involved in a minute. But we're going to start off the debate tonight. Suicide, Anna. It surprises me how many people kill themselves each year in the UK. It surprises me when you told me that men, there's a higher percentage
in the UK.
In the UK,
yeah.
That surprises me, and it seems like it's not dying down. Suicide, but tonight's show is all about, is suicide a selfish act? We're going to start off there and we're going to go deeper and deeper in the debate. Anna, let me turn to you, my co-presenter. Is suicide a selfish act? What do you say on that topic? What would you say?
I don't think it's a selfish act. I personally think that, and having spoken to a few people, it confirms my opinion, in fact, because I feel that people that do commit suicide or attempt to commit suicide are not in their right state of mind, in which case they are suffering from some form of mental illness already. Using suicide as a solution to end your life or to escape, for me, is somebody that's crying out for help.
Yeah, I'm going to have to differ with you a little bit tonight, because to me, and I want to ask the viewers too, first we're going to get into the first stage of it, suicide itself.
Okay.
And you're saying to me you don't think it's a selfish act. Now, people kill themselves from a whole range of reasons.
Yeah.
Depression, as you said. Sometimes it's financial.
Yeah, but then wouldn't you consider somebody that's suffering from is feeling under pressure financially would be considered as suffering from some form of depression?
You know what? This is what I say. I think when you get to that point, and you think to yourself, you can't handle this anymore, there's got to be something not right inside your head when you start thinking all about that thing.
But that's
suicide.
Exactly what I'm saying.
But to go as far as to say everyone has got a mental issue, I wouldn't go that far. But guess what? We only got an hour, just an hour. And to all my viewers out there, if you've just tuned in, if you want to get involved in the show tonight, the number to call is 07818 361 551. Is suicide a selfish act? What do you think? I'm going to go deep tonight. Have you been in a position where you wanted to take your own life? Have you known someone in your family or a friend? If you feel like you've got the bravery the courage to phone in the show, I'll be more than welcome to listen to you tonight. The number to call is 07818 361 551. If you don't want to call, I understand. You could text or use the Facebook or Twitter page, The Big Debate Show. Suicide. I won't say I got a kicking, but throughout the week, some people were saying to me, Judge, how can you talk about something that you know that you haven't been through? And this is what I say. Unless you know the person. See, people assume. And I'm not trying to... I love when people put their comments on social media. But if you want to know the judge personally, you will get to know the judge personally. And when it comes to suicide and pain, you don't know until you know someone personally what they have been through. So I can stand right here and say, yes, I can talk about this topic tonight. Like so many other people who've been through what they've been through, it doesn't mean you have to go through it.
No, I was going to say that. I think everyone should be entitled to talk about any topic they wish to. I think whether you've experienced it or not, I think everyone's still entitled to have an opinion on the topic itself.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Exactly. But I get the impression that maybe it's because they've been through it and it's starting to bring back memories.
No,
or bad feelings, and they want to forget about it. But this is what the Big Debate Show is all about. We go hard with topics sometimes, and we have the humorous one. But tonight is a very serious one. Anna, you're saying to me you don't think it's a selfish act?
No, I was sort of thinking about that title itself, and I'm thinking, if anybody's actually in that state already, they're not thinking right. They're not considering other people's thoughts, because they're not even considering about wanting to live. So effectively, that they're already in a place where they are not in the right state of mind to be considering suicide. It is a form of mental health issue. I think when I was reading a very high statistics of people that do commit suicide have a larger what was it? They have depression. Majority of the people that commit suicide suffer from severe form of depression.
Right, but what causes them to be... It's very easy for us to sit on here and say, that person, they must have been crazy. Their state of mind couldn't be right.
Okay. Robin Williams.
Yes.
The recent actor that died last year who committed suicide.
Yes.
Who was known for suffering from severe depression. Now, would you consider him crazy?
No, I would. When I heard that he killed himself, I was surprised. But remember, everyone can put a smile on their face.
Oh, yeah.
And you never know what a person's going through behind closed doors.
No, you don't.
And we don't know what he was going through, but we now understand this guy was in a deep depression and he was fighting it for years.
Yeah. So the contrast, actually, sometimes when people say who suffer from depression because they don't feel that they're loved, they don't feel that they financially they have anything, they don't feel that they're being supported. However, the flip side of that, Robin Williams had all of that.
He had all of that, and you would not have guessed, my viewers. This is what I'm going to say to you, all my viewers that are watching the Big Debate Show. This is the judge, and Anna, if you've just tuned in, if you're just plugged in right now, it's all about, is suicide a selfish act? And sometimes you cannot tell. You can't tell by a person's appearance that what this person's going through. You say the person is depressed, looking down, not being themselves, Sometimes, Anna, they hide it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do hide it.
I would actually say most people that suffer from severe depression would be the type of person to hide it.
And they still go to work.
Oh yeah.
They still do their jobs,
Mm.
and you wouldn't tell.
No.
And I'm not going to say everyone who has committed suicide had a mental problem, because I read in the paper, I think it was a few years back, where this woman, her daughter died on the train track, and she went to that very spot and she killed herself on the train track. I don't think she was mentally unstable.
I think she was.
I would,
think for her to put herself, I mean, I can't imagine the sort of pain she must have gone through. You know, however, to throw yourself as well, the trauma of having to watch her daughter or know of her daughter to do that
yes,
has caused some form of mental issue in her head for her to not think clearly.
All right then. Yes, you've got a point there. I mean, there comes a time when you don't think logical, and you're it's just blinkers now. Everything is just a tunnel vision. But what will make someone get to that point where it's all about this, the end result? And most people who kill themselves, I will say a lot of them have already planned. They might have gone to work. I've heard of a story where a man has gone to work, he's fine, and when he goes home, he kills himself. And nobody can understand, hold on a minute, I was speaking to this guy. He seemed fine to me. I can't understand how comes he killed
But I
himself.
think it goes back to the whole, that sort of mental health condition. I think people who do suffer from it severely are the ones that are most capable of hiding it.
Okay. If you've just tuned in, we're talking about, is suicide a selfish act? If you'd like to get involved in the big debate show, it's very easy. Call the number 07818 361 551. It's on the screen. Or if you don't want to talk to me, use the text or Facebook or Twitter page, the big debate show. If you're using Twitter, leave out the W.
Look, I whilst I was researching for the topic, the figure shows, facts and figures from an internet website, Stop Suicide Today, it's called. 90% studies have shown that 90% of people who die from suicide have one or more psychiatric disorder at the time of their death. Luckily, there are ways to treat and control this disorder and potentially prevent it. 90%. That's really high.
That is really high. That is really high. But when you say to control, I'll say this to you and I'll say it to my viewers out there. If someone is willing to kill themselves, it's very hard, Anna, to stop somebody.
Oh, yeah.
It is very hard. If somebody is determined to kill themselves, they're going to kill themselves.
Can I flip it?
As much as you want.
Right. So let's say that somebody you know or a relative is suffering with critical illness, some form of condition.
Yeah.
I won't mention what, but somebody who's suffering, knowing that really they are going to die, but it's being prolonged by medicine and everything, and that person wants to die to save the trauma for family and friends, and that person wants to commit suicide. Now, is that person in their right state of mind?
I think, let me say this first before I answer this. The judge will always say this: the act of suicide, in my eyes, will always be selfish. The act. But then you have to look deeper into it. Now, I will personally think, if that person's ill and the family know about it, and they've come to a conclusion, I think that's a bit different from someone that it just shocks people. How on earth did When
So-
you kill yourself, you can't come back, and the family is left to pick up the pieces. Yeah, your pain is done. Your pain is over. What about the family that is left behind? You're trying to tell me that's not selfish?
Yeah, but I don't think that we should sort of, discuss people who have committed suicide. People who've done this. It's just such a harsh thing to call it a selfish act, because in a way they're crying out for help.
They're crying out for help, and yes, they are, and
that because they can't. These are the same people that we've just said that go through their normal day
Yes.
without anybody knowing. So they're hiding behind a smile, behind their work. So they don't know how to be able to ask for that help or ask for that support. So the only way they think is, right, this is it.
end it. What do you think, my viewers? Do you agree with Anna? It's not a selfish act? Or do you agree with the judge? It's a selfish act. You know the number, it's on the screen. Get involved. It's only a 1 hour show. I'd like to hear your views and your opinion on tonight's show. Is suicide a selfish act?
With the fact that you are saying it is a selfish act, Jeremy Clarkson
Yes.
had an article in, I think it was one of the papers, and he had said, Notorious Presenter said that anyone who committed suicide in this way was very selfish for traumatizing train. So he's stating that there was a person who had jumped off the train station, because it is actually quite a common thing for people to say who are travelling on public transport or especially on the train. They say, you hear about all the time.
Yeah.
There's delays on the train because somebody
Someone
jumped off the train.
Someone jumped.
Yeah, and committed suicide. So he's saying that people that do that are very selfish for traumatizing the train drivers and inconveniencing commuters.
Well, yes. Yeah, and
Can you imagine how the train drivers feel after something like that?
when you see someone, I could imagine that they are off for absolute months, weeks,
And possibly form of depression
yes,
themselves.
exactly. What I don't like is when somebody wants to kill themselves and take their own life, but they feel that they don't want to just take theirs, and they've got to take a few more people with them. I don't like that. If you're going to
Like
do it,
suicide bombers?
well, suicide bombers, or they're in a car and they smash against another car, they're dead, and the people in that car have died too. But we're not going to go too far because we've got a text, and let's see what this person has got to say on tonight's show.
I think that when an individual makes a decision to take their life, it is never a one-dimension factor on what type of person they are or whether they are suffering from a mental illness. The underlying factors which may take an individual, there are often life factors, and it's the individual's ability to cope with that. Some individuals will go through the most distressing events and never contemplate suicide. Another individual may come to the decision following a breakup in a relationship, which leads me to believe that it is about inbuilt resilience to what cards you are dealt with in life. Best wishes, Mrs. F.
Ooh, Mrs.
I like
F. I like that too. And thank you so much for that text. Keep the texts coming. I like that, Mrs. F. Everyone's built different.
Yeah. I guess she's saying that some people are a lot more resilient than others.
Yes.
So.
Okay, hold that thought then, Anna.
Okay.
Hold that thought. Let's move on a little bit. Let's get this debate moving on a little bit, because we just had our first text. Is it a sign of weakness then? Is it a sign of weakness, Anna? Someone committing suicide? Would you say that's a sign of weakness?
I think it's a cry for help. I still personally think it's somebody that will have some form of mental disorder. For anybody to think that way it's already to the place where they can't see clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I
You know, when you say mental disorder, there's many grades.
yes, there are. There
Yeah?
are.
There is the severe, and there might be mild. And everybody is going to have some. I'm not going to sit here and just say, yes, everyone's. Of course, they have to be in that state of mind where they're not thinking straight. Now, of course, they're going to have some
Right.
form of
What
mental
about-
disorder.
What about people that suffer from addictions, drug addictions, gambling addictions?
Yes.
Now, would you call them selfish as well?
Well, talking about drugs and all that, I remember the group Nirvana. Now, he was suffering because he used to use heroin, and it got to a stage where it just took over his life, and I don't know if it was the fame, but he shot himself in the head. But before he shot himself in the head, he wrote a long, I don't know how many pages, of why he can't deal with what he's dealing with. Now, of course, drugs is going to play a part. Alcohol is going to play a part. But the act, to me, and I want to hear from my viewers, do you think it's a selfish act, committing suicide? Or do you think it's not selfish? Do you think there's more to it? We had our first text, and I would like to hear from you guys out there right now. The number to call is 07818 361 551. It's the Big Debate Show. I know. It's a sad one tonight.
It is, and I've sort of got some messages from people about it. Actually, can I read one?
Yes.
So, somebody said they've had to watch their sister with severe depression, which nearly resulted her being sectioned. It's horrible watching anyone suffer, and even worse when it's someone that you love.
Yeah.
Suicide is a desperate act by someone who is in intense pain and wants their pain to stop. Over 90% of people who die by suicide have mental illness at the time of their death, so they are not thinking clearly.
Well, thank you for that. Mental illness. I mean, it definitely does play a part. It might play the most important part where you just can't take it no more. Some people might kill themselves because people ain't listening to them. A cry out for help, as you said. To go.
But then, like Mrs. F said, you know, maybe some people are a lot more resilient, you know, and...
Well, I can vouch for that. And I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there who have been through a lot of things in their lives who've never contemplated suicide. And I'm not about to say, you know, everyone is supposed to be strong. No, not everyone is strong. And sometimes it's the support that keeps you on the right track. Sometimes it's not always you, but the people that are around you. I call it scaffolding. You got the right scaffolding around you, maybe you can get through anything. But not all people can get through that.
Isn't it scary to think that anyone that is suffering from into considering thinking suicide, that we would never ever know? Like, can you think of people that you know in your circle of friends that you just wouldn't think?
I mean,
I think when it happens, you're just as shocked. Everybody's just shocked.
It is, especially when it's people that are close to you, and you know they might have said, you know, Judge, I wanted to kill myself, or you hear of someone that you know of, and you're thinking to yourself, why? Why would you take that step? But the key thing is, we're not in their shoes. Yeah. And I'm one of those guys that, you know, I have to say I will say I'm pretty strong. I'm not Superman, but I say I'm pretty strong. I mean, I've been through my things in life, like so many other people, but I've learned how to deal with it. Now, it is a mental disorder, and some people just can't cope. And they think, you know what, because I can't cope and I don't think there's no way out, they take that extra step and they kill themselves. But what about the families they leave behind? And that's what I'm talking about. The act itself, to me, is selfish, because I will say, God forbid, if you had a disorder and you took that step, your family's not going to be happy.
But I'm dead.
You're dead now. Yes, you're gone.
However,
What about the family?
yeah, but I think my argument is that anybody that does that or considers to do that are not thinking clearly anyway. So they're not thinking about their life as being important enough to be living. So why would they consider, if they are considering family, children, then they aren't going to, because those are important factors in their life. So they are thinking clearly. But if they are not, if they do commit suicide, I just don't think that they are at a place where they are able to think clearly. They've already stepped that place.
I understand.
They've gone over the edge.
Oh my word. My viewers, this is the Judge and Anna for the Big Debate Show. I know you've been listening in. I'd like to hear your views on tonight's topic. The number to call is 07818 551, or send us a text or use the Facebook or Twitter page, please.
I posted something on the Big Debate Show Facebook website about the men. So the statistics show that men are now 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. Ratio between men and women is now at the highest it has been for 30 years.
Wow.
30 years.
Wow.
In 2012, around 4,590 male suicides were registered compared to only 1,391 female. And these are men aged 40 to 44. They are the most at risk, perhaps because they feel their careers have been stalled by the recession, maybe.
Oh my word. You see, it is a very serious topic. We have half an hour to go. You know what we haven't talked about? What about the kids?
I know, I was going to say that.
What about the kids? But before we get there, we're going to have our first caller. And I'd like to hear what this person has to say on tonight's show. Hello, welcome to the Big Debate Show.
Hello.
Hello, what's your name, please?
It's Lisa.
Hello, Lisa. What would you like to say on tonight's show?
I'd like to say that I think I agree with Anna in some respects. I think that for someone, there's 2 scenarios. There's one where someone has got a mental illness or they are suffering from a form of depression and they feel that they can't go on, and it is a cry for help and they take their lives. And then on the other side, you've got someone who has a terminal illness. They're suffering, they're in a lot of pain. They see their family suffering because their family's watching them suffer. So they're feeling their family's pain as well, and they feel that maybe it would be best all round if they speeded up the process because they're going to die anyway. So in that respect, they're not being selfish because they are considering other people's feelings besides their own. And thirdly, you have assisted suicide. So there are places abroad where doctors will help you end your life.
That's right.
And in that respect, you haven't got a mental illness. You are of a sound mind. They actually do all the tests to make sure you're sure about what you're doing.
Yes, but hold 1 second. When they go to Sweden, they have to be in a state where they are absolutely terminally ill
They
And
are.
no matter what happens, no matter what medicine, there's no return. So they are just speeding up the process. Yeah?
Yeah.
And the thing about with the families, a lot of the times the families know, especially when this person's in a lot of pain. Sometimes they might even discuss with the family, I want to end my life. I don't want to go through that. And sometimes if the family knows, I don't think that's a selfish act. Yeah? But what I'm saying is the act itself, if nobody knows and you've got a family and you just jump off the building or jumped in front of a train, I will say that's a selfish act. I'm not saying that person is of a sane mind. It sounds like most people have got something mentally wrong with them. But the act itself, I personally think that is selfish. It's a selfish act.
Because they're leaving people behind that love them.
A whole heap of people. But Lisa,
Yeah.
I would like to say I thank you very much for your phone call and I appreciate what you've said on tonight's show.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Lisa. Bye.
Thank you.
This topic is so.
We're not going away. We were not leaving the Rockabessa tonight smiling.
No.
But that's what the Big Debate Show is all about. It's all about all types of topics.
Also, I think because I was looking at the countries that did euthanasia, which is the assisted suicide.
Yes.
I think it's Switzerland
Yes.
and Netherlands. I think
Switzerland.
we said Sweden.
Yes,
but
sorry,
I think
sorry.
it's Switzerland and
Switzerland,
Netherlands.
sorry.
Yeah. So they're the countries.
The wrong S.
They're the wrong S.
The wrong S.
Which is another. That is a different topic altogether, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what Lisa was saying is, which I said earlier, like for somebody with an illness and it's just being prolonged, but they know eventually in the end that they are. I mean, I spoke to a friend of mine who works with a lot of people that has a mental health in a residential place where he has to look after them and care for them. So schizophrenia, people that have that condition where it's like people telling them or voices telling them to do stuff. Again, them being not in their right state of mind. But I have heard of people who have said, if I'm in a position, or they've said, if they're in a position where they can't walk or they can't clean themselves and they have to get their partner, or they've actually said, can you just make sure that I'm dead or gone? Because I would never want my family to have to go through something like that. Isn't that quite selfish?
I've heard people say that to me at work. If I got to that state, I want to end it, and you know what?
Isn't that quite a sad thing to say? Like
I don't
because
know.
Because they don't appreciate their life already.
Well, if you got to a stage where you can't do the things that you usually could do, it's just toilet or whatever, but it's hard because you have to be in that position where if you've been independent and all of a sudden you can't even go to the toilet, someone has to help you do those things.
Does that go back to being resilient then? Because there are people that have gone through stuff like that. Men in the war who have had to have, their legs or amputated through injuries. Yeah. But they are still living very successful lives.
That's fine. But if you can't move from the bed and you've got to be fed by the tube and you've always been someone who's been fit, that's a different matter. But we have another call. Hello, welcome to the Big Debate Show.
Hello, George.
Hello, what's your name? What's your name, please?
It's Kenzie.
Hello, Kens. What would you like to say on tonight's show?
Hi. Well, what I was going to say is that I think there's an element, I would say, of selfishness when someone commits suicide. Okay. And it's an element of someone being in despair at the same time because they can't comprehend what they've do, what they're going to do, and the impact that's going to have on the people that are around them, that care about them and love them, because they're not thinking about those people, they're just thinking about themselves, and that's why I think that's an element of selfishness in it, because you can't think about anyone else in those situations.
Okay.
If you could, then it would be that, might be that one thing that kind of like pulls that person back from taking that final step.
Okay, and that's let me say this to you while you're on the line. The act itself, that's why a lot of people might have got me confused on social media and saying judge this, judge that. I'm saying the act itself has got to be selfish, because you're not thinking about anyone else. You're not thinking about your family or your children. You just want to go. Carry on, Kenzie.
Yeah, well, from that's right, because you're not in a place where you can consider the other people. You're not thinking that actually from the actions that you take, about how much pain and suffering that's going to bring on your daughter, your son, your wife, your mother, your father. You know what I mean? You don't consider those things at that point. So that in itself has to be an element of selfishness. I think there's lots of different reasons why people will take the steps. And on the flip side of that, because I was having a bit of a debate here with my daughter, on the flip side of that is that you've also got those people who, it's like, we read about a guy who went out and killed his wife and killed his daughter and killed himself. Do you know what I mean? And you think, well, if he killed himself first, those good people were still alive.
Ken's, I was saying that very point earlier on to Anna, and I don't like. Sorry, I don't care who wants to badmouth me tonight. I don't like the people who kill other people first and then take their own life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say take your life either. But what I'm saying is, I don't like that whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely, because, you know, we all want to, we all want to live to an extreme, do you know what I mean? But it's not, we've got no right to kind of take someone else's life who wants to do what they want to do for themselves and stuff, because you're not happy about where you're at and stuff, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say, like I've said earlier, that anybody that does commit suicide, and if they did decide to take other people's lives
First,
they are people that are not very thinking clearly. They're not in the right state of mind. For them to have to kill their family as well, or loved ones, as well as themselves, especially when it comes to their, wife and children.
Yeah.
Would you consider that person to be in the right state of mind, Kenzie?
Well, I'd say clearly that they're not in the right state of mind.
Would it then still be considered as a selfish act because they're not in the right state of mind?
Well, I thought, okay. Right. Even though they're not in the right state of mind, right, I would still say it's a selfish act, because it's not an act that's considering the people that they're about to kill. All they're considering is where they feel they are. I mean, some people who have done some horrendous things. Some people go through the situation saying that they've got some sort of significant mental health problem. Some people have been psychopaths, or have been sociopaths. Do you know what I mean? And I've got no emotional feeling for anyone else. Do you know what I mean? But it's about what they want in that particular situation at that particular time.
Okay. Kens, I'm going to have to wrap this up. I'm grateful that you phoned in on tonight's show, and I respect what you've said tonight. Thank you for phoning in.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was Ken's. What's going to happen tonight? We're not going to go away smiling, but it's opened my eyes out. And
No, it has.
There's different levels. You know, Kenzie just said, what about the ones that kill their families first?
Yeah, I mean, I still have to
course.
say that they can't be. They are people that are ill. They're not thinking
When you say
straight.
ill, Anna, anyone who does that, of course, automatically, they're
Mentally unstable.
Yeah, mentally unstable. But they still know what they're doing because they planned that right. You know, they plan to kill their families first and then they kill themselves. So don't care how crazy this person is, he still had enough knowledge
Yeah, but what
to
about
say,
people that are like, you know, murderers,
Yeah.
rats, you know, killers?
Yeah.
They plan their killing.
yeah,
But then, to me, that they're not
they're not right.
exactly.
Anyone who does that act, I'm not saying they're you know, they're sane. They've got to be in a position where depression has set in. Their mental thoughts ain't the same anymore, and they're in a dark room that they just can't think straight. But we've got a text anyway. Have we got a text? We have a text. We've got
Two
two,
texts.
we've got two
Okay.
texts. Okay.
Okay, going back to the train suicide. Working with train drivers a lot, I've heard of a lot of suicides on the tracks. Often drivers cannot sleep for weeks, as the last thing the person looks at is the driver, and it haunts them. Also, I've seen it happen a lot of times at school releasing times, and children have seen it, scaring them probably for life. So therefore, in that sense, I think it is a selfish act. Thanks.
Okay.
That's from Alvin.
Thank you, Alvin. Thank you very much for that text. Well appreciated.
Right, next person. Okay, having known people who have taken their own lives by initial stance would be yes. Their initial stance would be yes, meaning I guess it's a selfish act. Because of the pain, upset and anger this leaves, and very often no answers. However, I firmly believe a person who reaches this point to take their own life is often in a desperate, fragile and dark place where they may feel there is no other option. That's from Max.
Thank you, Max. You know what? I'm going to spin it a little tonight, because if I don't spin it, I ain't the judge. There's always a way. I'm sorry. I
disagree.
am so sorry. I will say, you know, people will say they've come to the end and that is it, and they just jump. You got guys that have jumped because their wives have left them. You have guys and women that have killed themselves because of financial problems.
I think it goes deeper than that. What we read sometimes in the papers isn't necessarily the underlying reason at all. It could be many, many other aspects. I think for somebody to consider suicide is much, much deeper.
A lot of them have left notes before they've killed themselves. They've left a note for the family. And in the notes, they're explaining why they can't cope. I'm not saying all the time, but some of the times the families might read that note and think, why didn't they come to, you know, it's a surprise. You hear of guys and girls, kids hanging themselves, and the parents they're in shock.
See, that, you know, if we're going to do the whole talking about the kids thing, there's children very, very naive at times, you know, especially the vulnerable ones who, you know, form of bullying, insecurities.
Can't take it no more.
Yeah,
Can't
you know,
take the bullying no more.
You know, they need a lot of support for those reasons, because we're still nourishing them to grow up in, you know, in strength.
Yeah.
So,
what about the adults though? Because I am sure there's been adults that have been near the edge. They've been very close to the edge. But because they've sought professional help, or they've got the people that surround them that have made them think again, and they've stopped themselves from doing that.
then aren't they lucky? because I think there are some people who hide it so much that don't even know how to gain that support, because they don't. Well, it's almost like they want to show the complete opposite side of themselves.
Yeah. They want to hide it.
Yeah.
My viewers, we have 15 minutes left on the big debate show. You must have been hearing what's been going on. If not, I'm ashamed of you.
Right. So I just wanted to mention some of the risk factors for anybody that may be suffering, or people that may know of somebody that they may consider like suffering. So some risk factors that I come across with known to be associated with increased risk of suicide. These are drugs and alcohol misuse, unemployment, which would suggest financial pressure, I guess, social isolation, poverty, poor social conditions, imprisonment, violence, and family breakdown.
Yes. And they all play a part. They all play a part. But I know guys who've been on the wagon. I know guys who've taken drugs most of their life. I know family breakdowns. I don't know anyone who has taken their life. Personally, I don't know anyone. I'm sure there's viewers out there that maybe it could be a family member or someone you know. You know what to do if you want to get involved in the show. The number is on the screen. But, you know,
I think somebody did put on the show, where is it?
The thing is, you're talking about these things to look out for. Unemployment. I mean,
right.
You might think I'm a bit hard tonight. You might think I'm a little bit hard tonight.
I think you are a little. It's a bit cold.
I'm not a cold person, but to kill yourself because of if you've got a family, you've got a wife and you've got kids, and the bills are rising up, and you think there's no way out, and the bailiffs are knocking on your door, it stems to me how strong you are inside. Because if you look on some of the stories out there and you see how a person's been right down to the bottom, and slowly that person climb right back to where they want to be.
I think that's a different, to me that's
Inner strength.
It's different for somebody to have to, I don't consider them the same thing at all. I think,
But you just show things, poverty, unemployment.
Yeah, no, they're risk factors. They are things to see and watch for people that may be going through that may have, committed suicide. There are risk factors.
On that list, you've told me. I bet.
But there are people that suffer poverty who don't necessarily commit suicide. There are people, a lot of people that have unemployment.
I'm sure we know. I'm sure we both know someone who's got something on that list.
Anybody that, in my opinion, anybody that considers suicide as an escape or as a way out, I truly do think that they have got some form of condition, some form of mental condition that needs to be looked at well ahead before. If it's seen clear, then their community or their families, if they can see it, then they need to get that support straight away so that they don't go over that edge. I have got a message from somebody who, they said, it's a topic close to my heart. At the moment, after a long-term friend hung himself very recently, it seemed on the outside he was successful and happy, but we don't understand what goes on inside someone's head. I can't get my head around it and have never been so low to even consider it as an option. Mental health plays a massive part in suicide, I think. If someone is terminally ill, then I kind of get it, but still could spend the rest of your days being loved and cherished with family and friends.
Oh, thank you.
And that's somebody that's very, very recent, I guess.
Thank you, whoever you are, who've just texted that in. I could feel it. I could feel the pain in that text. And my heart goes out to you. You know, it's think of Anna, think of the ones who have to witness it as the person says, the train drivers. Think of the family members who have to open the door and see their loved ones hanging. I tell you this, yes, there have to be mental issues going on. But if people stop to think about who they're leaving behind, especially if they have young kids and people that they love, mothers who might have 3 or 4 kids, because of what she's going through, she has to take her own life. And I honestly, with my hand on my heart, can say I feel sorry for people who've got to that point in their life. We have a call. Hello, welcome to the Big Debate Show.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, what's your name if you want to say it?
My name's Angela.
Hello, Angela. What would you like to say on tonight's show?
Well, I've been sitting and listening, and I was just thinking about, people, to me, it all comes down to where people head is at that time. What's going through their minds, what they're thinking of. Because, there's so many different reasons why people do what they do.
Okay.
Some people might leave a note to explain to the family. Some people might even have time to write a note.
That's true.
To say the reason why they did what they did. And I was sitting there talking with my husband, my daughter, and we were talking and thinking about when a man decided that, his wife had left him, and he decided that, well, if I can't have her, no one's going to have her. So he killed the 2 children and himself. And I'm thinking, would that be selfish or vindictive because you can't have what you want? He took his life and his children's life.
Can I ask you a question, please, Angela?
No.
Straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think suicide is a selfish act?
Judge, that's a big question.
That's what the big debate's all about.
Because
big questions.
in some cases, I think sometimes it is selfish.
Right.
And other times, I feel it's a cry for help.
Yes, I agree. I definitely do agree. And a lot of people who kill themselves, it is a cry for help.
Mm-hmm.
But the
And I think also, for some people,
yes,
some people don't have a lot of support.
true.
They don't have family there or, close friends to support them, to understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
We all deal with different problems in a different way. It's not all down to mental illness, but we all deal with different things differently. And sometimes people just need that extra support, that family support behind them, to bring them through those dark times, through into the light, so they can see that there is a future.
That is so.
If you haven't got that, well, what's the alternative?
Wow, Angela, thank you so much for your phone call on tonight's show.
You're welcome, Judge. Anytime.
I appreciate that. That's Angela, and we've got about 7 minutes left. So if you're just itching, don't hesitate, don't wait. Send in the text or send a phone call to the Big Debate Show for the Judge and Anna. 7 minutes left.
Right, so someone else is saying that suicide is such a tricky subject as each circumstances is different. To ask, is it selfish, is an arrogant question, as it presumes the feelings of those left behind are more important than those that kill themselves. Is it not equally selfish to expect them to live when they wish to die?
All right. Well, thank you for that. I don't think it's selfish. I'm pro-life. That's how I am. I'm pro-life. And I'm not going to come on here and pretend that I'm Superman, it can all work out. But yes, family is family. And if that person considers the family's emotions, they're going to think twice. But we have another call. Hello, welcome to the Big Debate Show.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, hi. What is your name, please?
What's up, Anna? It's Storm.
Hello, Storm. It's.
I think I just read out your message, Storm. I think that was
Yeah,
you.
maybe, but I'm listening to this, and I'm just like, Judge, you you really have some really strong and I would say incorrect views regarding this subject.
Okay.
Where you talk about many things about, it's about inner strength, it's about so many other things. When somebody's got debts piling up, they've got so many things going on, you're talking about now things of stress, depression. So when you're talking about now somebody making a decision, they're not necessarily in their correct mind. So then to hold them responsible and to come across as judgmental as you are is clearly and patently a wrong thing to do.
Okay.
And some of the assumptions that you're making are what causes people with mental health to have so many stigmas attributed to them.
All right. So you're saying that everything I'm saying is incorrect.
I'm saying that you are starting from an incorrect position when you're arriving at your conclusions.
Okay, well, I will put this to you, Storm, yeah? Because I can only go on from what I've personally been, and I'm not about to tell you exactly my personal things, what I've been through, but a lot of the things that now everyone is different, yeah? And some people might not be able to take what I've been through, and but what I'm saying is, when it comes down to suicide, yeah, yes, most people who've gone that extra mile, it seems like they've had mental issues. Now, what I'm saying to you is this. The topic was, is suicide a selfish act? And I will always stand by the act of taking your own life is selfish, because you've come to a point where nothing else matters and you want to end it. You're not thinking about your family anymore. You're just thinking about yourself. But carry on, please.
Okay, so let's assume that position, okay? That you want to end your life. Okay, Anna says she just read out the point that I made. Whose life is it? Is it yours or is it someone else's?
It's your life.
Right, so now what you're telling me is that I cannot do with what is mine what I wish.
No, I didn't say you cannot do, because if you watch the show, and I'm sure you have, you would have seen that I said you cannot stop somebody from killing themselves. But
okay,
yes.
So, but it doesn't change the fact. What you're now saying is that if somebody does with something that is theirs, hey, we're going to label you as selfish. Okay, so let's take the point which Anna said she read out. Is it not selfish then for you who are left behind to then pass judgment on that person? Because who are you thinking about? Are you thinking about the person's pain that led them to take such a drastic action? Or are you thinking about the pain that you are currently feeling?
Okay, I'll put this to you, Storm, and I'm glad that you phoned in, yeah? You think of the kids that have lost their mothers, yeah? I am sure that there's women out there who have committed suicide, who have left young children behind.
Mm-hmm.
That's selfish.
But you haven't answered my question.
What's your question?
Is it not selfish, okay, is it not selfishness of the people that are left behind to call the person who has committed suicide selfish? because they are not thinking about the pain that the person was going through that led them to take such drastic
Storm,
actions.
what you're
They
saying
are only
is,
thinking about the pain they are feeling at that point in time.
so he's saying
if they're
is,
not thinking about the other person, is that not in itself selfish?
So
and there's the
valuing-
irony of the whole subject.
so valuing their life rather than the person that is making the act of suicide, taking their life.
Okay, Storm, I am sure that the loved ones that are left behind haven't used the word selfish. This person was selfish. Why did they are thinking to themselves, why didn't this person come up? Why did this person take his life? Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not pointing to a fact that the family that are left behind are saying the person that's killed himself is selfish. I'm saying the act of someone taking their life, this is what I'm saying, the act of someone taking their own life is got to be a selfish act because they're only thinking about themselves, Storm.
I hear the point you're making, and what I'm also saying is that the concept of calling that act selfish is in itself selfish, because you are not thinking about the pain that led the person to take such drastic actions. You are thinking about how you feel at that point in time about that person taking their life. There is a complete irony to the whole situation.
I respect what you're saying tonight. Some people will say it's a cry for help. Some people will go as far to say, this person is in such a deep depression, they ain't thinking right. Now, the reason why I've put that as the title, because I wanted people just like yourself to phone in. And I'm absolutely glad that you did. But I will always, this is just me. I'm the judge, and I will always say the act, but it goes much deeper than that, Storm. But the act of killing yourself, suicide, has got to be selfish. That's just what I have to say. And I'm going to respect your opinion on tonight's show too, Storm.
And, as I said, I respect your opinion. It's a good thing that we have both a judge and a jury.
Thank you, Storm.
Storm.
I hope you carry on watching the show. It will be back in 2 weeks' time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What
Bye.
a great way. At last. You know what? That is the last caller.
Rattled you a bit there?
Rattled?
It was good. It was a good debate because
It's very
Storm
hard.
was coming across to where I was,
Yes.
but he came across a little bit more assertively.
Rattled me. It's gonna take a lot to make me think. Yes, Storm did make me think. He was going in one direction and I was going in one direction.
On a survey on the debate.org, when I was looking at a survey on suicide, it was very much 50-50 between, 100 people that were surveyed as to whether they considered it to be a selfish act. So
A selfish act. And once we pass the act part, once we pass the act of suicide being selfish, then we can go deeper. But we have to scratch the surface first.
I feel sorry for
And
the
then we go
people
deep.
that have to suffer,
Yes.
their loved ones having committed suicide.
Of course it is.
However,
My heart goes out to everyone who's...
anybody that does, I think anybody that is going through that or
Yes.
does commit suicide is not.
My... It all depends on the reasons. Yeah? And anyone who's killed their family first and then took their own life, I'm sorry.
This is where we're going to have to differ because
Yes.
it's not.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a debate tonight. I'm sure there's viewers out there who've been, who's had family or friends that might have committed suicide, or you've known someone who's known someone. And it's a very sensitive topic, and I appreciate everyone who has took the time out tonight to voice their opinions, especially that last one, Storm. I don't know where you're from, but I'm glad you phoned in. It's time to wrap up the show, and I have to say next week there will not be a big debate show, so it's going to be the following Monday. I can't tell you the date off by heart, but it will be on Facebook.
I will tell you the date for next week, Monday, not the 29th, but it will be the 6th.
The 6th of
July.
The 6th of July is the last show. No, the 6th of July is when the big debate show will be back.
Is there a text?
What? We have a text? Okay, let's end on this text.
Okay.
Let's end on
Last
this one.
one.
Last one.
Okay, I think that suicide is not just because of mental health issues. I think it can also relate to lifestyle or traumatic experiences that have occurred in life. I don't feel that someone can look after others if they can't look after themselves first. I feel suicide is not a selfish act. I feel it is a getaway to a problem that people can't express vocally.
Well, thank you.
No name, but thank you.
No name. It's a getaway. I can go on about this. You know, that word getaway, escape, freedom, no more pain. The list can go on. But I'm going to say this before we end the show, and we're going over.
This is even longer than last week.
Yes, this is going over, but I'm going to end this with this. My heart goes out to anybody who've watched the show and who has been affected by what we have been talking about tonight. My heart goes out to anyone who's lost a family member or a friend through suicide. The judge is not about disrespecting, shooting people down who've gone through difficult circumstances. The big debate is all about the debate. And I respect and I appreciate everyone who've watched the show and who phoned in and texted in on this very sensitive topic. So first I'd like to thank AJLR Media and Bloodfire Studios. I'd like to thank my co-presenter once again. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. This was a very sensitive subject.
It
but
was. That's what the show's
I got in there. It was fine.
It's good. I like some of the facts that you've said. You know, I like to thank everyone who texted in. You know, because some people might find it very hard to phone in. I appreciate everyone who's phoned in. You know, who took time out to phone in, and everyone who watched the show. Well appreciated. Don't forget, the next show is going to be
the 6th of July.
The 6th of July. So not next Monday, the week after. So this is what I've got to say. Once again, debate show. We all have a voice. But sometimes the judge does judge. I am sorry. Sometimes he does. Thank you very much for watching the Big Debate Show. If there's anything you want to say, just do it on the social media, Facebook or Twitter, and I will try my hardest to reply. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
And good night.
Good night.